Hi. The magic of it all. And the magic lies in what we cannot see, what is yet to be revealed. That is the magic. And it's like all of this is here for the revealing and the seeing and the process that brings it to that ultimate okayness, which who knows how long that's going to take. But we can experience the truth of that. Because when all is okay, it's almost like, poof, gone. And what is next from that? We will see. So the cards that came up was inspiration, and behind it there was that pick me, and it was magic. Inspiration, magic. And really the in and out breath, the blink, that continuous moment of now, renewed, that brings the next unseen into being, and the flow and joy of that. So during the week, I'm going to read this out because it was so lovely to see the unfolding of this particular session, and it led into the further sessions that came along. And this was sitting in the past. You see, if we're in the past, we can't get the clear page of what's next to come. We can stand in that which is now present, which all the gifts of the past gives insights to, of this moment of renewal that now can see anew. But when we're in the past or reflective in a past that looks for concerns rather than looks for the gifts in it, the gifts in all of those choices, all of those experiences. Depends on how you look at it, hey? So what showed up was feeling that of being manipulated and deliberately hurtful, and feeling weary of this over lifetimes. But when you're clear, no one can manipulate or be hurtful. But in the traps of, because this was a being who is an extraordinarily healer with so many gifts in her back pocket that can come out, that can assist, and also seeing when very little is done, how much can find its own space of the nothing. So it was in seeing that the compassion for other people, and these other people don't realize the pain they're causing themselves or the deliberate hurt that is placed upon self and others in the not seeing that there aren't any conditions. And this was really felt in the back. And when we can see no conditions, we can easily overcome what's going on as a more freedom of feeling into what is before us. And he could see that when in that space there were no hindrances, there was nothing placed upon her that felt that had to be healed. Then it went from the back to the Achilles tendon, where tension actually was also felt. And the energy here was a very compressed feeling in the tendons, and what was felt was a perception, not a truth, but a perception that felt like a truth, that source itself placed this upon her to work out for others. When the real being seen was, as I said here, rather that the full power of who she is in that capacity, and to see who she is while interacting, then there is no pressure. There's just the joy of how you see it versus how other people's perceptions are hurting them from themselves and their own perceptions. And when that is seen as not a hindrance, the freedom of who you are in how you interact with these no conditions, that then she could shine out. Yeah, it was like when that was realized, that energy then was not so much a burden or a manipulation by others to want her to fix things up and feeling that was her role. And then the relief of that was that light of being could then come literally shine out of her hands and feet. It would just come through this magic. And whether others can perceive it or not, in staying in that space, much can join it. That is actually the truth of all. The magic of it all. And then it came to someone during the week who was in this space of frustration and in going into the past, and was focusing on what I don't want in the future, what I want to go away, what I can't deal with anymore and don't want to be around anymore. And her partner was already in a place where there were no conditions, just that moving forward, and that ever moving forward that brings out the best, and could see that it's only going to get better. I nearly called this sharing more and more and more, but it's not a greed more and more. It is this magic of more and more. And then what else and what else? And seeing it as an opening door that has no conditions, but only that which we can move in. And in seeing that they were ends of a bookshelf together, where one was in the past and one actually was present, seeing all those things moved towards in that vision of all that is yet to come, and how amazing that feels. And that she could see she was in the space of transition, and to be in that space of transition, to join in that and be with her partner in that seeing. And when they're both in that space, oh my God, magic shows up. So much magic around this couple. So that flowed on into the weekend sessions. And again, the energy is going to places where we really want to be, but somehow want to get there. But in the wanting to get there, you can't really get there. And in this session, there was, when I'm already there, it's so exciting. And what is the excitement? The excitement is in being there, you don't have to birth it. Because if you want to get there, it's like you're in permanent birthing pain. The birthing pain. when we know birthing can be the most blissful, energetic experience of being present to what is being birthed rather than focusing on the pain. Anyway, this energy was in this excitement of, and didn't quite get what this excitement was, but it was like, I'm on the other side. There are no birthing pains. There is just the excitement of what is next going to reveal itself. And I have no idea, but I feel excited, and I'm going to join the dance of what that is and live in that space. And the creative collaboration that's happening there is extraordinary, but it's the play of it, the dance of it, and it felt fresh and new and feeling ever present in the moment. That is the magic of it all. And the woman that followed, it was interesting because the spirit was so in this okay. Like the first thing it showed was, I'm okay. And the mind was kind of on board with that until it realized that making it all okay was a huge limitation. And the mind then realized it could inform and work with the spirit to actually go, can I show you more? I know it's okay. It's a bit like if she was offered something, she'd go, okay. And the mind is going, all right, let's see if we can go on a journey that says, there's this, but I can also show you this. And then you can look at it and say, which one is more okay than the other? And then I show you this and I show you that. And how about we explore and go, that's great, but I'm going to check to see if there are other elements that are even more than these two. And it got this being able to look at the world, to start bringing in this spiral of the openness to see what really is joyful, what really can be entered into. And this often comes about with really big things like purchasing a home. You know, if you say okay to the first one, that's the one you're going to get because that's the contract you're going to sign. How about if you go, I'm not sure, let's have a look, see if there's something better. And if you really stay with it, eventually something's going to go, oh my God, this one's got my name on it. I love it. But it took the standing with and the magic of it's not just about accepting okay, and a whole new world can show up to enter into. It's always saying, yeah, that's great, but it's premised on the past. Let's see what can show up as a joyful entering into the magic of the world of what else can come through. You know, we are the magic. We either say it's okay or we say, what else? And it's incredible what can show up in that process. And if you're patient enough, it is amazing what it can show you without being so patient that you can never get to the decision. But there is a trust. There is a trust in I'll know it when I'll know it when I see it. Then it went into a very different pattern And again, this pattern is very interesting to ponder. I've noticed over the years that if parents are very different and one never takes no for an answer and the other one slips under and goes, okay, and problematic as that can be if one remains silent because no is not accepted or yes is always what is going to happen either way. As children, and sometimes in abusive situations where if it's questioned, physical abuse happens, children can, out of survival, choose what they perceive the strong, powerful parent is. And therefore, they can go into the world with the pattern of what they perceive as powerful and get stuck in that pattern of behaviour. Now, in this case, it was the mother was incredibly powerful in her own house. And she was brought up in a house where what the mother wanted, how the mother did it, and how she saw it. And the mother generally saw this as this is the way, this is going to serve everyone. Now, that pattern, though, was placed upon the others, whether they agreed with it or not, but in the house it was contained. This mother was provided for, she never had to go to work, money was never an issue. But then the daughter going into the world where I'm at work, this wanting to make everything be okay in all these different worlds other than just the home, went out of control. And trying to make everything okay then led to her doing 3 times the amount of whatever needed to be done, because this desire to make everything in the home okay translated into the world at great cost to herself and annoyance at the same time that she was stuck with having to make it all okay. And what the spirit wanted was apathy. Makes so much sense. Do what you can, which will be more than enough anyway, and then bring in apathy. And in bringing in apathy, you say, I'm going to do this in a day, and I'm going to be apathetic to that which pushes me so much that if I go, I've done that's more than okay usually. And I'm going to be apathetic with that so that others can see we've got to do something here to catch up the slack. Otherwise there is no life. There is just that. And then you die. And it was run by this pattern. And breaking and seeing that pattern and not using her energy, which irritates others a lot because it demands a lot of other people, or it grizzles a lot because that's too much and I can't cope with it. So either way, pulling it to the normality and letting others see, if you want that, then something has to change, something has to fall into place, something has to come to terms here, rather than stretching me to make everything okay. Again, this was followed by somebody who gives to such an extent, you sort of wonder, where is the end of it? And the essence that came up in the process of this session was spinifex. And spinifex is like this jumbled haystack. And it took her into a process or an imaging of where she has been for the last few years, really. And the jumbledness, it got so jumbled, it couldn't see itself out of this process. So it took her into a sarcophagus, and it says, you've been in a sarcophagus. And the confusion is you don't know how to unjumble this and come back into life. I mean, there are certain processes that some people go through this lying in a coffin and then realizing how to come back to life. I don't know who said it, but there was this, I laughed so hard. Somebody said, why are you so worried? We're already dead. And of course, that was a guru who could see that when you see how dead you are, all you've got left is this fabulous life to live, because death is not an issue. Anyway, what showed up here was the unjumbling of it showed that it isn't about the jumble. It's about seeing you are the needle in the haystack. And then being able to meet others who know they are the needle in the haystack, and then collaborate together, that is the magic. To realize you are the needle and to meet other needles in the process of collaborating together and creating fabulous things in the world. If there wasn't stuff to do in this world that we could apply ourselves to so we can experience the needle of who we are together, what magic can be made here and can be experienced that through you that can reveal itself. That's inspirational, and the magic of it. So we bring so much energy into this world from all the lives, whether it's lived simultaneously or while we are here, we perceive them as lived linearly. There's a huge amount of perceptions that we can make of it. And this pattern, I've seen it so often now, often actually with and I suppose it can be used negatively or can be used positively, but it does need to be seen and integrated in some way that leads you to potentialities unseen. I mean, why else would we be here? Why else bother? To be in that permanent flow of what next. Look, even every conversation we have will reveal something we had no idea would show up before we started a conversation. So even in a conversation, that process of unseen reveals itself. It's never not there. But that's where the dance is. That's where that meeting is. That is what you wake up in the morning for. Not for the same old argument that's going to end up the same way, but that ability to meet in a dialogue that reveals something that wasn't entered into and we could not have seen before we even started the conversation. Because it's not goal-orientated. It's let's see if we can see what we haven't seen before, that we can enter into. But there's a pattern that shows up where, as a being, we can either be so grounded down here, but we can also be too far up here, and then there is a gap. There's a gap. Now, very often, drug taking can do this. And beings who are able to bring that in and ground it, that's a very different process than going on drugs, and because that's the only way I can feel this inspiration. The trouble is, the moment that stops, we then feel a gap, and we don't feel that we can actually be creative. And you know what? Medication can hold that place too, where if we can't hold it in here, medication will allow us to hold the space in here better, because we don't know how to do it ourselves. So it's quite a journey. And in this particular case, it was a sleep. It was to do with sleep. Why? What is this about sleep? And living in this zone, and being in this zone so naturally in her life. Going to sleep was not easy, because it takes a long time to go to the other side when we live in that energetics all the time. And also it will wake you up early, because it's so easy to come back into this space here that then wakes you up. So in this process, it was very interesting, because it was a dialogue that basically had to say, it was like it really had to be very clear with it to go away. Just go away. I'm going to make it nothing. I'm going to stay in the center here, and to really start focusing on being in the body, and to have it back off so I can be here. And through the exercise of really being clear, of being embodied and being here, this very deep relaxation, you could feel it in the room. I felt like going to sleep myself. It was so, this calmness was so deeply present and to be exercised. And in a way, this area can be the past that keeps us awake, or that wanting in the future. Now we can say, back off, be here now. And that deep relaxation and the break, to be able to have the reprieve of going to sleep, to be restored. So waking up, we can be inspired anew to see what magic arrives. But it takes that being present now. Inspiration. The river of all knowing allows every possibility to be open to you. Allow yourself to tap into this vastness. Be inspired by the beauty that surrounds you. Be inspired to open yourself to the richness the world has to offer. In any moment, you can allow inspirational thinking to set you free. Which moment will you choose? Magic. Unexplained, fascinating turns of events. Expect the unexpected. You have wondered and you have let go. Magic is in the air. And it is this, you wonder, and then you go, you wonder, and there's an element of show me. And then it can be, show me another one. And what else can you show me? and enjoy the whole process and the magic of it. And then it falls in place. Don't fall under the spell of your ego, because you know what? It's really interesting when you go into that process. You're open. You realize it's got nothing to do with ego. It's this playfulness, this dance you're having with all that is there. It isn't an ego. It's a dance. It's a play. Often what appears to be real is only an illusion. You know, it comes from. Allow the spellbinding passion of your spirit to guide your life with enchantment.